guys, I hope all of you are doing well. It's Friday, we are all ready to start our weekend and unwind a little bit from our daily routines. The topic for today is self-esteem. How to have an unshakable self-esteem. What is the link of self-esteem to self-worth? We are going to dig deep into this topic. This video is going to be a complete roller coaster. So stay tuned, stay till the end because I'm going to summarize everything in one single slide and it will help you, really help you to have an unshakable self-esteem. Before we move ahead, let us first understand what is self-esteem and what is self-worth. What is the link between these two terms? I usually don't have script or I don't have notes while filming a video, but today I am going to look into my notes because I don't want to miss on any single thing, as this is the last video of Evolve series. If you haven't watched my previous videos, then please go to the link in the info bar. You'll find all my videos there, and I hope that you'll find these videos helpful. So self-esteem is what we feel, think and believe about ourselves. It is a belief that we have about ourselves. The second thing is self-worth. So self-worth is how valuable are we as a human being. Before we understand in depth about self-esteem and self-worth, let us see some pointers that clearly point out that we have low self-esteem or low self-worth. The very first thing is that we take rejection too personally when our self-esteem is low. The second thing is we are seeking validation constantly from others when our self-esteem is really, really low. We become a people pleaser in this particular condition. The third thing is that we might show to the world that we have a really high self-esteem and project our negativities onto other people. This is also a sign of having a really low self-esteem. You can find this in people who act to be very bossy, but from the inside, they are churning their emotions, or they are afraid of being vulnerable. They are not able to confront to themselves, and that's why they project their negativities onto others. So these are some of the symptoms of having a low self-esteem. So if you have one, then please accept it. Don't criticize yourself. Yeah, one more symptom of having a low self-esteem is we beat up ourselves for making small mistakes, or which are human errors and which can be made by anybody of us. So we forget to be compassionate to ourselves when we have really low self-esteem. So we have to move from this side of the table to the side of having a really high and unshakable self-esteem. Because if your self-esteem goes up and down, up and down, up and down, then you are doing something wrong and you have to figure it out on your own. What are you doing wrong? Okay, so in order to figure this out, I am going to tell you an exercise at the end of the video, and you'll find a PDF of how to do that exercise in the description box below. So let's move on to understanding self-esteem and self-worth and the link. Self-worth is a value that human being has about himself or herself. Now this value depends on two things, or two situations, or two perspectives. It is how worthy do you feel about yourself and how worthy others feel about yourself. Now let's not forget a basic human desire or a basic human need. A better word, need instead of desire, is to belong to somebody, or to belong to family, belong to community, or belong to a group of friends. Because after belonging, our need of being validated, that we are able to add value in somebody's life, gets fulfilled. And there is nothing wrong about having this need. It is completely fine to have this need to belong to someone. So when we add value to some group, or we satisfy the needs of others, we satisfy others' expectations, our self-worth increases. When we satisfy our own needs, our own expectations, and all the aspirations that we have of ourselves, at that point of time also our self-worth increases. You have to check for yourself on which side of the table are you playing. Now, if you are a person who does this, you are always on the side of the table of satisfying the needs of others and self-sacrificing, you will explode emotionally one day and your self-esteem will go extremely down because you are not satisfying your own expectations from yourself. And if you are a person who satisfies or thinks only about your own expectation and needs and completely ignores the needs and expectations of people around you, then also your self-esteem is going to be hurt, because there is a direct link between your self-worth and your self-esteem. Self-worth is how valuable you are, how are you able to put value into other people's life and satisfy your own expectation also. And this is all that creates a belief, or this is all that makes us to think good or bad about ourselves. So the core thing that we need to work on is our self-worth. And now I'll tell you how to work on self-worth. On working on self-worth, understand these things first. A person who is completely satisfied from the inside can only satisfy people outside or satisfy the people that belong to him. So always keep in mind that first and foremost, you are going to take charge of satisfying your own expectations. Because when you take charge of it, you don't project your negativities onto others. You're completely responsible for the way you're feeling. And for that, we are going to do an exercise. The exercise contains 2 blocks. One block is of your strengths and the second block is of your stretches. Now, strengths are the things that you are really good at, you don't have any problem doing it, and stretches are the points where you need to improve. We are not going to call anything as your weakness because there is no such thing. And you have to fill in both of the boxes. Now, I'll give an example of how to do it. Strength. I can really cook really good food. Second strength would be I am able to take care of people when they are sick. This can be your second strength. Your third strength can be I can speak really well. I can interact with people really well. Now, your stretches can be I am not confrontational, or I cannot confront to somebody easily, or can be I fear to be vulnerable. These things can be your strengths and instead of weaknesses, we are calling them stretches, right? So we are so used to calling things weaknesses that even though we are reprogramming our mind to call it stretches, the things to improve on, we still call it a weakness. So let's call them stretches. So then we are going to work on one stretch at a time and try to increase the value we have of ourself in ourselves' minds. So we are increasing the self-worth in order to increase our self-esteem. So when you know that you're working on one block at a time, you won't be overwhelmed, and you know that you're working on your stretches. So every single time somebody is rejecting you, you look at the list. Do I have this in my strengths or stretches? If you're getting rejected for your strengths, then it's their loss. You are not responsible for it. If it is in your stretches, remind yourself that you're improving on it and you are going to get better. So what to do when a situation comes that you feel incredibly rejected, you feel bad about yourself, you feel that I am not good enough or I am not able to meet people's requirements? Because see, there is a norm in our society that only when my requirements or others' requirements are met, that person becomes highly valuable, which is an illusion. The one thing that you should always remind yourself is that I am enough. And whenever this belief that I am enough gets outside, go to the strengths list. You will see all the strengths that you have put in the list are making you a very worthy human being. Before we end the video, let me remind you guys one thing. Each and every human being in this world is worthy of love, care, attention, and all the positive things. The only thing is, all of us are having a stretches list and we are working on them. So don't take rejection personally. Don't take some unmet needs very personally. Don't identify yourselves with your stretches. Work on them. All the best and see you again.